If you walk the trail between the lighthouse and the parking lot at Cabrillo National Monument on a Saturday morning, you'll pass a concrete bunker with steel shutters and a roof that looks like a large rock. Volunteers in World War II uniforms invite you inside to see the command post and the room where soldiers tracked ships. This bunker should not exist. The Army abandoned it in 1946. The Park Service used it as storage until 1967, and most of the other batteries on Point Loma were gone by then. What stopped the bulldozer wasn't a protest or a lawsuit. It was a chain of paperwork that started with a ranger who decided to write it down. You climb down the exterior stairs and through a metal door that leads to the battery commander station. The upper level still looks out over the Pacific through slits that soldiers used to scan for enemy vessels. A short flight of concrete steps leads to the lower level, where a bunk room connects to the base end station. That is where crews took bearings on any ship in the water and used triangulation to calculate exactly how far away it sat. The volunteers are members of the San Diego Military History Association. They show up in period uniforms and explain how the equipment worked. The maps, helmets, canteens, and tools match what soldiers actually used. A veteran who had served at Fort Rosecrans helped verify the interior looked right. You can visit this bunker every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. It is a regular operation run by volunteers who believe this history matters. And here is the part that should make you pause. This is one of the few surviving World War II fire control bunkers on the entire West Coast that you can still walk inside. Every other battery on Point Loma was razed, buried, or sold off. This concrete box somehow made it through. To understand why this bunker survived when the others didn't, you have to know what it actually did. The Army finished building Battery Ashburn in 1943. Mako Construction completed the work in March 1944 for just over $1.3 million. It was the largest coastal defense artillery battery San Diego ever had. The main guns were two 16-inch naval cannons, each 68 feet long and weighing 146 tons, firing shells heavier than a small car nearly 30 miles out to sea. The bunker you see at Cabrillo was the brain of that operation. The upper level served as the battery commander's post, where officers issued firing orders. The lower level was one of 5 observation posts that worked together to triangulate enemy ship positions. That data went straight to the guns. During World War II, Fort Rosecrans housed the 19th Coast Artillery Regiment. Soldiers in this bunker scanned the horizon day and night and logged 61 reports of possible enemy submarines or vessels. But the attack they were built for never came. The guns only ever fired practice rounds before they went silent in 1946, when the Army dissolved the Coast Artillery Corps and the fort sat abandoned. In the 1960s and 1970s, crews razed and graded over most of the World War II gun placements on Point Loma, because San Diego was growing and old military structures were in the way. At Cabrillo, the Park Service took back the bunker in 1947, and for the next 20 years the agency used it as an office, a darkroom, and a storage area. That ended in 1967, when the current visitor center opened, and the Park Service chose to restore the natural environment rather than the abandoned military structures. This is the moment the whole story pivots. The bunker had outlived its military use, and then it outlived its office use too. It was just concrete taking up space on a cliff, and by 1967, most of the other batteries on Point Loma were already gone. This one had no obvious reason to stay, but it stayed standing. The reason has nothing to do with the guns, the war, or the concrete itself. It comes down to who bothered to write it down. Howard Overton arrived as a ranger at Cabrillo National Monument in 1977. The Park Service assigned him Chief of Resources Management and Visitor Protection. Part of that job meant understanding what had happened there, so he studied Fort Rosecrans. Overton went beyond reading the files. He started contacting World War II veterans who had served at Point Loma. He arranged interviews with them and attended veteran reunions. He collected those stories into a book called 19th Coast Artillery and Point Loma Remembrances, published in 1993. Ranger Brett Jones was doing similar work, reaching out to veterans and gathering accounts. This matters because for decades, the history of this place had existed only as oral history. The veterans knew what happened, but nobody had written it down in a form that you could reference, cite, or drop into a federal report. Overton's book changed that. Suddenly, the bunker carried a human story, and that made it harder to treat as disposable concrete. In the 1990s, volunteer restoration efforts also began. Ruth Coleman, a longtime volunteer and staff member at Cabrillo, pushed for documenting and preserving the military structures. She kept detailed logs of the bunker's condition and advocated with Park Service leadership to protect it. Her work created another layer of documentation that would later prove critical. But even with a book and volunteer logs, the bunker still didn't have a federal document that said, "Save this." That would come later. In 1999, the National Park Service performed a formal survey of all military structures at Cabrillo National Monument. This wasn't a casual walkthrough. It turned into a line-by-line inventory of every crack, every rust spot, and every piece of hardware. For the battery commander and base end station, the survey included specific restoration recommendations. It did not simply say, "Preserve this structure." It listed every single thing that needed fixing. Repair the concrete spalls with special attention to the door header. Cut out and replace the reinforcing rod. Remove rust from all metal elements and paint them with approved historic colors. Replicate and install the missing camouflage netting. Restore function to the metal shutters. Straighten the bench shutters at the lower level. Replicate the missing metal door frame. The survey also noted that painting had already started in early 1998 and was still in progress when the survey team did their fieldwork. This is the closest thing to a smoking gun. Once a federal agency produces a document that detailed, demolishing the building becomes legally and politically awkward. You can't list every rust spot and then say the structure isn't worth keeping. In 2010, Park Superintendent Tom Workman allowed volunteers to start restoring the bunker. Ken Glaze, Cabrillo's lead volunteer World War II historian, coordinated much of the effort. The volunteers cleaned out the interior, repainted it to match the tan color found in other bunkers, and restored the original stenciling and equipment. A veteran from Fort Rosecrans helped verify the interior matched the real appearance. The volunteers researched and collected period-accurate equipment. They found maps, helmets, canteens, and the tools the soldiers used. The bunker still opens to the public every Saturday, same hours. Volunteer docents from the San Diego Military History Association give tours in period uniforms. You can walk through the battery commander's station and the base end station. No single person or document saved this bunker. Howard Overton wrote the history down. The National Park Service produced a line-item survey, and volunteers proved the public would show up. Each link in that chain made demolition a little harder until it turned impossible. If you want more stories like this from San Diego's hidden files, subscribe. Most of the other batteries on Point Loma didn't have someone writing it down, so they're gone. This one did, and that's the difference a paper trail makes.